How's it going, Captain 1701? Welcome back to Pros and Cons. I'm also known as Bog, and we are here this evening to discuss the latest episode of Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 8, right?
Yep.
Surrender. Don't like the name. I'm going to take those off because of the reflection.
You looked smart. You looked sophisticated. You looked like you knew what you were talking about. You looked like me, like a genius with my glasses on. With my crazy unhinged theories that we'll see which ones are correct or not.
Well, I brought notes this time, so I can kind of, I don't know. Did you take notes?
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch here because I thought right off the bat, I think this episode was maybe the best of the season, in my opinion.
Really?
I really enjoyed it. My first note, I really liked it a lot.
Hashtag strongly disagree.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
It's all like around all the other people that have watched it is pretty highly regarded.
Really?
You might be in the minority. Yeah. Anyway, I wrote down the first thing, because I always like to write down like a note to kind of put my mind in the mindset of an episode, like a question or something. Like what I kind of want to see in this episode. And like the last three have been like, what the hell's going on with Jack Crusher? And of course we still have no clue. But I put in my note to start off this episode was starting to get a little tedious.
Okay, so let me just stop you right there because you just hit my entire reason I didn't enjoy it. The last episode ended with the line, "Are you ready to find out what this is all about, Jack Crusher?" And then this episode ends with, "Are you ready to find out what this is all about, Jack Crusher?"
Right.
And I'm like, what happened? Did anything happen in this episode?
I mean, we got a little bit more insight into what his powers are. And like, I think that's a big problem with this series so far. And this episode is just like, I mean, Jack Crusher's the MacGuffin of the series. I mean, he's the mystery box the entire time. There's no reason why we can't have some sort of explanation. We've gotten little tidbits here and there, but it's still the same, like, yeah, right. It's still like the same question.
Yeah.
Like, is he a changeling? Is he not a changeling? Is he a different kind of changeling?
Well, is he a changeling? How did Beverly Crusher have a changeling?
Right.
The symptom Irumodic syndrome, and why does Picard have it?
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. That's my main issue. I think still going forward is like, okay, can we like get some sort of answer on who Crusher is? And Vadic throughout the episode kept calling him son, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Like,
well, that's the whole thing. Is I was like, is she trying to imply with a Great Link? Oh, you've heard the voices, and to me, that's almost like a Great Link thing. It still does no explanation on how he's psychic or can control people, which is silly. And I want to shout out TK for tuning in and watching. So we do have a live viewer. That's awesome.
So we watched the episode. My Mrs. 1701 and I watched the episode from Deep Space Nine last night to kind of prime this one because I think I noticed a couple things. The Inter Armas Silent Legis. I can never remember the Latin phrase, but it's a Dominion War episode in season 7 where Bashir is with Section 31, and it's at this Romulan conference, and he's describing the quickening, which is the virus that they implant into the changelings. And there's a shot of this little girl. He's giving a talk, and she's got all these crazy like red veins through her face or whatever.
Okay.
And it reminded me so much of Vadic.
Well, and that's the other thing is I've been curious too. All right, so Vadic's a changeling and everything, but can you explain to me why she's scarred?
Torture?
Right.
I don't know.
That's the only thing is like is she's like a damage changeling, but I thought these were supposed to be like perfect undetectable spies. And like,
why is she smoking too?
And why is she like the dude? You actually, that was one of my questions. Why is a changeling smoking? They don't have real lungs. Like they've got fake lungs, but they don't really breathe. Which I was also thinking when she went out in space and froze, and I was like, what's that really do to a changeling exactly? And then they shattered her, so I was like, oh, okay. And then they blew up the ship that her pieces were connected to, so she's gone. I assume.
Yeah. Do you want to go through like kind of the episode?
I do want to go through our notes, but I wanted one last question here, okay? Because
sure.
I wish that had we had the foresight, I wish we had started a changeling death counter, because I believe she said there were 9 of them. How many have they zapped? They've got at least 3 of them down now, right?
Like her henchmen?
Like the other 9 changelings that were tortured in the Starfleet lab?
But are those all the same ones, or did she gain some from other places?
Like, well, did she, and that's the other thing. Did they ever get back to the Great Link? Because wouldn't that have like killed them and like helped them work through their issues? Or right, did they go back to the Great Link and pull off a splinter? Because now I think that might be possible, because we did get where Worf said Odo warned him. So, you know, I don't know. I don't really care.
Well, there's a whole bunch infiltrated into major Starfleet. So I'm thinking that, well, Tuvok, and I mean,
that's why I'm saying, how many are actually is this problem? I'm curious, because we've only heard 9, and they haven't said like I gained 1 million more followers.
That's a good point.
So, but I'm just curious. Let's work through our list. My first note was lighting up, followed very quickly by disconnected lore. And here's the thing, I had a bunch of quick notes, and then I didn't take any for a long time because I feel like not a lot happened. So I don't know, why don't you work me through your notes here?
Oh, I've got some good ones. So yeah, I actually I noticed the first shot was pretty cool. Kind of coming down from the dome of the bridge, and she's has a cigarette or whatever she's on. I thought that was a cool shot.
It did show that there's a dome, which is Kurtzman Trek, but hey, it was a pretty.
Well, they had
it. It was an okay shot.
They had it in the Enterprise D. They had the same dome.
Well, you know, there's an argument if it was. Yeah, well, whatever.
I put my next note was Jack Crusher. I put sighting around to see who's alive. You know, he's kind of jumping from different people in the corridors as her henchmen are just like going around and like massacring all the rest of the Starfleet guys that are trapped.
My notes basically, they were like, because they showed them disconnect learning. It was bridge disabling systems, Jack's powers of possession, Walking Dead style lineup. They were trying to do like a Negan scene with Vedic.
I did not like the I thought Vadic got a little too mustache twirly when she's listening to everyone just get killed, where she's just like doo-doo-doo, like walking around like thinking of the music or whatever crazy crap she thinks is music.
Yeah,
I didn't like that scene. Made me uncomfortable. And then I put we start out like all the main bridge crew are hostages. Shaw, Seven. I put hostage type episode, and it reminds me of that movie Air Force One, because as soon as she like started taking the major hostages, I was like, okay, she's gonna start like working her way up the cabinet because she's like, I need the president to come up to the bridge. Did you ever see Air Force One?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, I think it was more of a play, especially with the lineup and everything like that. Like directly referencing like Walking Dead, especially how she sat 2 people down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like they were really trying to evoke that vibe of the show there.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And then fine. What I thought was really then they kind of jumped to Riker and Troy.
I say right before that we get the title drop. It was a long. intro this week.
Yeah,
It took us a while to get to
they've
that.
been kind of weird
Some of
dropping
them
the
have been
intros.
short, and some have been. There was one, maybe episode 5 was like, I was like, oh my god, this is the intro.
It's like they were editing the show and they're like, did we drop the intro in anywhere?
Maybe we should do that.
Fuck it here. You know? The first time we see Riker and Troy, I really like those scenes with Riker and Troy. I thought they were really cool.
They said, we actually, from Lavoie Lissagese, Moken, it's possible she took on the habit from her persecutor, the woman that had, hey, there you go. I find that a perfectly acceptable explanation.
But I feel like in the 25th century now, I think maybe like vaping would probably be the the number one smoking option. Like I feel like in 500 years, like cigarettes would probably be outlawed by this point, but who knows?
Hey, Rios was cracking off cigars,
Yeah.
and that was on a Federation bridge with crew all around him. That was way more outrageous than a villain doing it.
Right, I agree. Like that was unbelievable. Anyway, getting back to like Riker and Troy, what do you think of those two scenes with them in kind of captivity there? I thought those were super.
My note is Riker and Troy. I thought it was extremely boring.
Really?
I thought it was rehashing like all the stuff that we've already seen Riker talking to about with Troy, like in messages and over video. It's like, well, now they're together, and we are getting Troy's like weepy side of things, but she's like supposed to be a counselor, like, you know, and I guess whatever, you know, I guess it was okay.
But if you're a therapist, are you supposed to be a therapist to your husband 24/7?
Well, I just meant she should be able to analyze herself better.
I thought they were wholesome. I actually really enjoyed those scenes.
This said. So, hey, to each their own. To each their own.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, my next note was Data versus Lore, because they had this whole scene, and they're like doing this thing where it's like, oh, Data's disappearing, and I'm sitting here the whole time. I'm like, well, so if Laura takes over a sector and erases those memories, well, will even if Data wins, will he even be able to get those back? And so I'm watching, and I was like, this is just all schlock. He's gonna like take all of Data's memories into himself, and it's like a Trojan horse. And of course, that's basically what it ended up being. You know, he was like, "Oh, hey, brother," and I thought it would have actually been. I would have written it differently, or I would have had it been like with like the two of them merging or like negotiating, and less of like Data triumphing and erasing Lore. But you know, he also goes on to say, like, I'm different now. And so whatever. It was I don't know, I would have probably handled it a little differently, but overall it was okay. I like the Tasha Yar reference. I like that we got to see Tasha in some form or another. And I thought it was appropriate. Data, its precious memory. That makes sense. I like Spot. Yeah. So
can't miss out Spot. I thought those were good. I love that scene. Both of them with those two kind of arguing back and forth, and you know, like, or what's his Lore's just like taking these as like, screw you, I'm just taking your entire identity. Yeah. Thanks for giving me all this ammo, without even thinking about it. And so yeah, it is a total Trojan horse.
Well, I kind of saw it coming, and like I like how they did it too, with him kind of being a little surprised at the end. But you know, overall.
The dumb thing though is, like, you know, they're like watching, like, all of Data's and Lore's memories are like little red and blue dots, and so anytime one would get swiped, it would like fade away, and I'm like, that's kind of stupid. How do they even, so they can track the memories? That was goofy.
They're just trying to be, you know, do something visual for the show.
I know, but
before that. We switched back then to back to the Shriek, and you know, you had the alien come in, and like Riker rushes him. I guess Riker can't see anything behind this alien. He's like blind or something, because the alien pushes him back, and then Worf is like, "Thank you for bringing me to my friends. Now I will execute you." And so like Worf just kills the guy that he like had made take him to the cells instead of throwing him in the cell and putting him in the cell. Now Worf's just like, all right, thanks, dude, which is fine.
I love how the pacifist has just murdered like so many people in this season. I want to go back and find out what like Worf's kill count like per season of Star Trek he was in. This one's got to be up there.
Rewatch at some point, and we'll like have a couple like trackers or something. Yeah. Well,
he's just straight impaling dudes with that sword. And then the whole thing where he's like, Deanna, I've reflected on my past with us, and I've become more, in tune with my feelings. And Riker's like, "Is this part of the torture?" I thought that was fantastic. I thought that was so great because he's totally like hitting on her, and Riker's like, "Dude, I'm right here."
Right. Well, it's like, I'm like, okay.
I thought it was awesome.
I thought Worf was still hung up on Jetsi a little bit, but hey, if he could go back to Troy, he's into it,
Yeah, I thought it was funny. And then
we get Picard's body,
and then oh, geez, sure. And then
that's what would happen next after all that nonsense with Troy and Riker.
Well, and then with the part of his brain removed from.
The earmotic syndrome. So that's what they wanted from him. That's the only thing they wanted from him. That's what they want from Jack. But how is that having? We'll see. I think that's going to be a disappointing MacGuffin, but we'll find out.
What is this? I forgot kind of what it's supposed to do.
It was supposed to be like a brain defect that meant like Picard started having hallucinations when he was like 90 years old, and then like went crazy by the time he was 130 years old.
Well, how would that help the changelings? Or why is that?
It doesn't have anything to do with anything. It's going to be silly and dumb. So I'm just curious. I want to know already.
And then kind of we go back. I mean, like Shaw and 7 of 9 and stuff. Their chemistry is really good.
I like Shaw.
They've got this, they've kind of got this.
Yeah.
They've kind of got, because she was supposed to blow up the turbo lift and kill them all, and she didn't do it, and he's like chastising her for it, and I don't know. I think they make like a really good kind of like good foils for each other. They're not gonna like they're gonna tell each other what they think, and they're not gonna blindly follow the other one, but they're loyal to each other, you can tell. And I think their relationship has grown a lot since the beginning of the show, because he's kind of tough love with her in a way.
Well, they've written intentional drama in here and there in the episodes, but that my favorite part of the series so far, this season, is definitely.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like, he's got to be thinking like, we're back to square one with like our whole situation with Picard and all his buddies on the ship. Like, we got our ship back, but like, damn, we're still like in this.
I don't think he's great. He's not like too focused on Picard at this point. I think Shaw's more worried about, we're past the thing whose fault it is these guys are in the ship, because that's all been resolved. And then we get this scene where Jack comes up onto the bridge with a thermal detonator.
Thermal detonator. Yeah.
Oh, very Star Warsy, and the truth is, and it says, I have thermal detonator, jack to the bridge, and then evacuation hatch. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know if you need an evacuation hatch that you can just open to like blow everyone into space. But I guess if you crashed onto a planet, you might want to get out of there or something. So, all right, so be it. It's hidden by the view screen. All right, cool, whatever.
Or just happen to be in a situation where you need to like suck some changelings off the bridge, or
I did like I thought it looked all right. I like the effect. I like the tech overall. Kind of new tech that I don't have any problem with. It's not magic.
What do you think?
It's just like a force field. It's kind of cool.
What do you think of Data's when he fully retakes the ship and he's like, "I'm your pissed off positronic security system"?
I laughed a little bit.
Do you think it was like, it's definitely part of lore and his personality now,
Yeah.
kind of being a punk. I like that a lot. I thought
They
that was
blew up
funny.
the Shriek, and then it says, and I had put down the note. They're like, oh yeah, now that we've like secured our ship and taken back, they're like, oh, what are those guys on that other ship doing with Picard's body? They're like, let's just vaporize all that and blow it up. We're not even gonna talk to them to see if they surrender or anything. They're just like, blow it up. So they vaporized all the bird aliens and Picard's body.
They had to have taken Picard's body, right?
Nah, I think they blew it up.
Really?
Yeah.
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 I guess you would take out. Like the one thing that they
had
want.
the cloak shuttle, but you know.
But they took out. I mean, they took the part of his brain out that they needed.
Right, and I don't think we're ever going to hear anything else about it. I don't think that it will be left unresolved and up to us to speculate.
Do you think Picard's like, I want to be put back in my original body now?
My rest. I want my body returned to the ground so my rest may continue undisturbed.
I was super satisfied. I was super satisfied though when Shaw's like, you know what? Screw these guys, and just pumped like 7 photons into that ship. He's like, I'm done, and just like whips the Titan around, and just like and like the way they blew it up was so cool. It was such a neat shot.
It was a nice shot. I did note that. I did also note that they were walking around the ship vaporizing bodies. That seems like a weird Starfleet. Like they're not going to throw the bodies in the morgue to study or to return or whatever. They're just like,
I wouldn't take the chance. It's like a double tap, you know? You like, like zombie movies, like you gotta double tap it.
Make sure there's not a changeling hiding in a dead bird body. Even
I would have
saw the changeling like get evacuated into space and shattered before they torpedoed it.
I'm not taking any chances. Do you think that Vadic is dead? I think she's dead.
Yeah, dude. If it wasn't clear by my statements, I was curious if putting her into space would do anything. And then when she shattered in the hall into like a gajillion pieces, I was like, I don't think we're going to see her again. And then they blew all that up. And I was like, yeah, no, she's gone. She's gone. That's it. We've seen. Now we got to figure out who the Pa Rafe spirit face thing is.
Is it? It's like an ancient evil.
Speaking of, Troy is like, the darkness is on this ship. It's ancient and it's attached to Jack. So if this was attached to Jack and everything, why didn't she sense this ancient evil in Picard when he had Irumodic syndrome? Why doesn't she sense it in him now?
Because it didn't exist. Because best of both worlds.
So moving on. We get we actually do get a cool scene with Data and Geordi that I liked.
That was awesome.
Geordi finally gets his opportunity to say hi to his friend again. And then it's nice having Data back. And then my very next note is the whole crew finally together in the ready room. All 7 of them sitting around. I also noted I actually kind of like the ready room doors on the Titan. They're kind of cool. I like the ready room set. I think it looks great.
That whole scene was like, it just felt right, you know? They're all sitting around, like, throwing out their ideas, like, kind of getting back together and like, all right, let's go save the universe for the 10,000th time. Did you notice that Worf had 4 pips on his uniform?
Yeah.
Captain Worf, but he was still wearing the yellow.
Is he even in Starfleet anymore?
He's wearing a Starfleet uniform.
I thought he left Starfleet to become ambassador for...
Well, Irumodic syndrome is not supposed to make you see things, and so we went over that.
All right. My next note was unexplained abilities. They're like, Jack's unexplained abilities, and that's why I was like, this is not very Star Trek-y. Like, he's a mutant. Like, call Professor X in.
Well, I mean, you mentioned a couple weeks ago, it's like we're kind of at the Marvelification of Star Trek, where people can come back to life, and so yeah.
My next note was we're going on a Troy dream walk. Ooh, Jack's red door is back. More Jack's red door. He's so scared. I'm scary. Don't make me look inside. Don't make me.
I
look
knew
inside.
they were gonna totally like.
I'm gonna see my papa's mama.
Oh Lord, yeah. What is with doors in this stupid series? Like, is he gonna see Grandma Picard like Mama again? Like, stop!
My
Enough.
final note in giant letters is tease, because they reach to the door and it cuts, and I was like, dude, this episode is, because it literally ends exactly the same way the last one ended, with we're gonna find out the truth about Jack Crusher next week. And then this
Maybe
week we're going to find out the truth about Jack Crusher. Are
Maybe.
we really, though? Are we really? What the hell is Jack's red door? I don't care anymore.
I kind of don't either, and that's why that's like one of the major.
Maybe we'll be
problem.
really surprised. Maybe our expectations are so low that it will be like Gul Dukat with a Pa Wraith, and they'll be like, Dunta, did you know this weird thing that all of a sudden it all makes sense? And I'll be like, my mind is blown. Whoa. I don't think
But
that's
how
gonna
do
happen, though.
How do they? I feel like if they're gonna do a big villain, it has to be from the TNG era. Because then if you do like a villain from...
They already did a villain. Dude, the time to introduce a big villain was long ago. It's the floating head thing. I don't know what that could be. The
I said, I wrote down Snoke. Maybe it's dead. It was part of Vadic, right?
Snoke, nice.
Like we didn't really know what Snoke was, and he's just like, oh, psych, he's dead now. We'll never know.
We'll see. 2 more episodes, man. Whatever. I'm ready for a conclusion. We will definitely have a final determination. Overall, I'm going to give this episode a 7 because, I'm going to give it a 6. Overall, I was very disappointed it ended in the same spot, and I just kind of felt treaded water. Wasn't really bad. It's not really a 6, so it's like a 6.5 or a 6. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't like I didn't have any issues with like, oh, we're magically traveling sectors back and forth and this and that. So there wasn't anything that I felt was like dumb that I didn't like. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to be like that. I just, I don't, the overall stuff I'm not buying into. There wasn't anything specific in this episode where I was like, that's so stupid. With like episode, the last one, 7, with like, there's several things, 6 too. So overall, not bad. A series continues. I still want to see what happens. I want to know more. I'm still engaged. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, right. But like I'm anticipation of a satisfactory lately. Is that fair?
Yeah, I agree. I'd give this one an 8. Solid 8. I would have added a point or 2 to make it a solid 9 or 10 out of 10 if they had actually like gone through the red door with 10 minutes left.
And give it even just a shot, just a parting shot or something. But freezing on the hand of the doorknob, I was like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah, that stuff annoys the crap out of me. But I mean, everything else leading up to it was great. I mean, I really liked all the nostalgia. I think they're doing a good job in this series with it.
I just like seeing the team guys back in the... I'll admit that.
And then, I don't know, I just... Like the ninth episode is going to be a lot of introspective bullshit, and then the 10th one,
I think the 9th might be really good because we have to get to the setup so that the finale can have the action in the wind down. So I see the 9th and 10th as really like kind of a 2-part finale episode. I'm ready for the finale.
Federation Day might be complete chaos.
We'll see what happens.
I bet we're gonna see a boatload of cameos coming up in the next 2.
It'd be nice.
I bet you they will. They're gonna blow it out.
This episode, several times I didn't make a note about it, but several times I thought I was like, that was pretty fan servicey. But yeah, I'm okay with that. There's a few things.
They're doing a lot better. They're doing a lot better fan service this season than they are the last 2. The last 2 is just like random references that your average fan would understand, and they're like, let's just throw this in for the diehards and see if they get it. And this one actually like makes sense with storylines and stuff.
Yeah.
I liked it. Overall,
I was like, okay, I'm ready for I'm ready to hit it. Like, I'm ready for action and explanation, understand this better. And like I said, I probably will go through and watch it again, and we should maybe even watch it and do some follow takes on, like maybe doing like a final, maybe as a wind down, we can come back and do a video where we do a retrospective for the whole season. So instead of like talking the whole series, maybe the last episode, focus on the episode. Back and do the whole season. I don't know.
After we see it all, I think so.
All right, well, we're done. I'm done with my notes. You got any more notes you want to talk about?
My last one is who or what is the ancient evil?
I don't know. I don't care. We'll find out.
I've heard like theories and like Soren from Generations. He's old.
Yeah. And,
wow.
Artemis or whatever, the one that got the tar monster, got Tarsha. I've heard that brought up.
Ugh, that would be disappointing.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see.
I do like the Pa-Wraith theory.
Honestly, of all the theories, that's the one that I'm probably the most open to at this point, because Pa-Wraiths do things. Well, so we'll see. I did want to say I did a big 2-hour long interview the other night for another channel, Taking High Ground. That should be going live sometime soon. You're talking comic collecting.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I got a new setup here with a 4K camera. I'm going to try to do a 4K unboxing for our channel.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And then pros and cons, by the way, we're only 8 subs from 100.
I know, that's awesome. So let's go. Make sure if you're watching this and you haven't, we don't really call it out, but let's do it. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, please. We really appreciate it.
And Everything Has History is cooking over there, so I'm trying to do daily shorts. I didn't do one today, but check those out if you want a little history hit. And then I'm probably going to put out a couple full-length videos next week. Check out Everything Has History and just subscribe and share to that one. And yeah, I think once the season wraps up, we'll probably get into some Shuffle Trek and kind of talk about some old school Star Trek episodes, no new school episodes. I don't, this is just going to be
a conversation about that. I already know what we're going to.
But it's going to be the top 4 series, right?
Well, there might be some
Boy,
stuff in there that we might want to throw in. You've never watched the animated series, the original Kirk animated, have you?
No, but I would.
It's actually quite good. Short series. And the episodes totally fall in line there. So I'm going to suggest we throw that in there. And
I'm totally down.
Yeah, we're going to watch Good Trek. But otherwise, yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in. I think we're going to go ahead and last thoughts before I cut to the outro. Peace.
Nope. I'm excited.
Later. We'll see you guys later. Have a nice one.